The following content contains adult language and humor that is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed during the following video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to this Father's Day edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk. Cash and Barrett are with their fathers right now, and being a father himself, I'm sure Baron is having a splendid Father's Day afternoon with his daughters. So that is why they are not here today. But today we do have a few articles to discuss. We will also take a look at the weekend box office and see how that's doing, especially with the release of Inside Out 2. And from what I've read about Inside Out 2 is from all the reviews, they're saying it doesn't have any hidden agendas, it doesn't have any, hidden messages. It's just good storytelling. And we'll see if that translates to success at the box office. Who would have thunk? Good storytelling will have people come out and watch a movie. But enough of that. The articles we will be talking about today are from CBR. Transformers 1 producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura doesn't understand why fans of Transformers love the original film. We'll get into that. We will also keep with the Transformers theme and take a look at some new Transformers Legacy United figures that are scheduled to come out. And one of them is deeply inspired by the original 1984 release of Optimus Prime. Now, this is to be confused with the Optimus Prime figure that came out for the 40th anniversary. That is basically the same mold as the original with the diecast and plastic parts included. That is fully articulate. No, this is a completely brand new interpretation of that 1984 figure. So we will take a look at that. And sticking with Hasbro, according to Bounty in the Comics, Hasbro reportedly never wanted Power Rangers, and the purchase of the brand was done without consulting R&D. We'll see what that story entails. And going into comic books, we'll be taking a look at this article from Superhero Hype that says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 receives massive orders ahead of series launch. And before we get into the weekend box office, we'll take a look at this article from Variety that says theater owners chief on box office downturn, Alamo Drafthouse sell, and bringing audiences back to the movies. We're still looking for a catalyst. Then, of course, we will take a look at the weekend box office. And the last story we will talk about, or I could bring it up sooner than that, will be an article from IGN about Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. So there is a trailer associated with it, and we will take a look at said trailer. But first, let's go ahead and get into our first article on this Father's Day edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk. I'm going to go ahead and post the link into the various chats. And let me not forget to say hello to everybody watching on both YouTube and Rumble. Appreciate you all being here. Again, Barrett and Cash are spending the day with their respective families. As Barrett is a father, he will be spending it with his father and kids, and Cash is spending the day with his father. And the number one rule on this channel is family comes first. So let's take a look at this article from CBR. I have not read any of these articles ahead of time. You'll get my real time reaction to these articles as we read along. So this is by Xavier LeBlanc. It was published 4 days ago on CBR's site. It says at the recent MSC, say that 3 times fast, Animation Festival, veteran film producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura discussed the highly anticipated animated film Transformers 1, as well as the 1986 classic The Transformers the Movie. It says during a recent talk with Variety at the Amnesty Animation Festival, Di Bonaventura revealed his confusion about the way the original 80s Transformers animated film is perceived by many fans. He said, what's so surprising about the 86 film is how dark it is. Okay, well, I was a kid who grew up in the 80s. I had no problem with it. And let's see what else he says about the 1986 Transformers movie. And he goes on to say, honestly, don't understand why people loved it so much. I'll give you a few examples after we're done reading this article. For some, maybe it was their first cinematic experience, but it's really a downer movie. The Transformers, the movie was rated PG upon its initial theatrical release in North America on August 8th, 1986. Yes, I remember that quite clearly as I went to see that while my parents went and saw Top Gun. The comparisons between Transformers 1 and the 86 film seemed to be inevitable based on the Bonaventura's comments. The producer added, interestingly, when we showed our trailer for the first time, the fans' reaction was to compare our movie to that one. But they're not so comparable because that's so dark and this adds so much humanity. They're completely different movies in many ways. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say a few things about the 86 movie. You got to understand about that 86 movie is they're introducing new characters in a new toy line. So the reason why you see characters like Ironhide, Ratchet, Prowl die when the Decepticons come on board is because their toys were being discontinued. Same with Optimus Prime and Megatron's toys. It goes on to say Transformers 1 may be the first animated Transformers film in nearly 40 years, but there have been numerous live action films released in the decades since. Each of these live action films has also been produced by Di Bonaventura, starting with the 2007 blockbuster Transformers, directed by Michael Bay. There have been a total of 7 live action films based on the popular Hasbro Transformers property thus far. The most recent release was the 2023 film Transformers Rise of the Beast and is heavily influenced by the Transformers Beast Wars franchise, which was also a popular animated series in the 1990s. The only theatrical Transformers film not produced by Di Bonaventura is the 86 film. Well, I will still say this from moment one, the 86 film is the best of all Transformers movies. And I even said it a year ago after I saw Rise of the Beast. I would put Transformers, the movie from 1986, at number one. Then I would put Bumblebee at number two, followed with Rise of the Beast. And then you got the 2007 Transformers movie. I would rank number four. And then it can change as far as where Dark of the Moon and The Fallen and The Last Night and Age of Extinction rank. So the article finishes out by saying Transformers 1 tells the origin story of how Optimus Prime and Megatron are transformed from brothers in arms to sworn enemies. Well, just watch the Generation 1 episode War Dawn. You get the whole story right there. You don't need a movie. You really don't. And of course, you have Chris Hemsworth providing the voice of Orion Pax, Optimus Prime. Meanwhile, you have Brian Tyree Henry voicing Megatron. Says the voice cast also includes many notable actors such as Academy Award nominated actress Scarlett Johansson, Keegan Michael Key, John Hamm, Steve Buscemi. Transformers 1 is directed by Josh Cooley, who previously won Best Animated Feature Academy Award for his work on Toy Story 4. And it mentions the release date of September 20th for Transformers 1. Now, what makes Transformers the movie so special to many of us that obviously Bonaventura can't understand? Well, I'm going to go ahead and play a couple of clips right now that make it so special, make it so memorable amongst us G1ers.
One shall stand, one shall fall. Why throw away your life so recklessly?
Not only that, but this as well.
Disrupts my coronation! Coronation, Starscream? This is bad comedy.
Megatron? Is that you?
Here's a hint. Will anyone else attempt to fill his shoes?
Other reasons why the 86 film is so special to me and so many others is that even though he's mortally wounded, Optimus will not let Megatron succeed in his goal. When Megatron has the blaster pointed at Prime and Prime struggling to get up, and Megatron says, I would have waited an eternity for this. It's over, Prime. And Optimus puts his hands together and knocks Megatron off the ledge and says, never. That shows how far Optimus is willing to go to make sure that Megatron doesn't succeed. So that's one of the reasons why we love this movie, because of Optimus and Megatron, even as they're both about to be on their last goodbye, Optimus is still willing to fight the good fight. And another reason is, say what you will about Hot Rod, but Hot Rod has growth in this movie. He starts off as young and cocky, and then he has to learn that he needs to grow up. He needs to grow up and understand that there's a bigger picture going around, and that's something that even Cup tries to tell him. And then, of course, you have the introduction of the Junkions, the introduction of Unicron, this massive Death Star-like Transformers. And yes, Transformers, the movie from 1986, was heavily inspired by Star Wars. What wasn't back then? I mean, heck, even Battlestar Galactica was inspired by Star Wars. So that's another thing to like about Transformers movie. You have this massive planet-sized transformer who's determined to destroy any and all planets in his path. But another reason why I enjoy this movie is because it's one of those movies that even almost 38 years later, I can sit back, relax, and enjoy the film. And another reason, the soundtrack. You can't go wrong with the soundtrack. That's what makes it so good. And I do want to say hello to Decepticon's Cave of Collectibles. Okay, I will definitely check that out. And you've done 2 pages. All right, I will definitely check that out. Decepticon. And good afternoon. How are we doing today, Alan Copeland? Oh, very nice. Very nice. That's got to be a treat in itself to have an issue actually signed by Frank Welker, who, for those of you who may not know, was the original voice of Megatron. All hell, Megatron! Yes, that's a voice I do like to impersonate, as well as Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime. And let's see. Gotta do page by page. Yep. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the finished product too. And let's see, Alan. Ooh, AC's out. Oh, I've been there, brother. A couple of years. And you have one thing go out, then you have another thing go out in your AC, and it's like, okay, I can turn on the fan, open the windows. That'll only cool the house down so much. So just gotta bear with it until it gets fixed. But trust me, brother, I know exactly where you're coming from when the AC's out, especially this time of year. Ooh, very nice. And Decepticon says I'll post a pic on X later. Yeah, I'll look for it, brother. But if you guys have anything you'd like to say about the 1986 film, or you want to read this article, I have posted the link into the chat. But to me, I mean, even this scene alone, where Perceptor's going to tell Blaster to radio Optimus, and the situation's dire for the Autobots. Autobots are getting killed left and right. The Decepticons are advancing on Autobot City. And then, of course, this is another shot, of course, reversed of the one shall stand, one shall fall. And then, of course, this iconic scene where Optimus, after passing the Matrix, excuse me, the Matrix of Leadership over to Ultra Magnus and Hot Rod catches it, Optimus joins, well, what we didn't know that there was an Allspark at the time, but his life force is extinguished and he joins the Matrix. And then, of course, this is when the Autobots are leaving Autobot City after Galvatron, Cyclonus, Scourge, and the Decepticon forces are attacking again. Let's see. Okay, so those are the only clips that they have, or stills that they have from Transformers, the movie back in 1986. But yeah, like I said, I can still watch Transformers, the movie, to this day. 38 years later, I still find enjoyment. And also, another bonus for this film is you have Peter Cullen and Frank Welker in their prime doing their voices for Optimus Prime and Megatron, respectively. And then, of course, you have Judd Nelson, you have Eric Idle, Robert Stack, the introductions of Hot Rod, Ultra Magnus, RC, Cup, Springer. It's just a great movie, especially if you're a Generation One Transformers fan. And not sorry to say this, but the Bonaventura is another out of touch Hollywood producer who won't understand where a franchise comes from, where its roots come from, and why something is so beloved as Transformers the movie. Yes, he does. He does do Scooby Doo's voice now. That was originally done by Don Messick, who in Transformers was the voice of Ratchet, Gears, and Scavenger, amongst others. But yes, yes. So this movie will always remain special. I mean, again, 38 years on, it's still special. Love it so much that back in March did a watch party on it. And then Pops had invited me onto his channel because he was doing a discussion on Transformers the movie. And I was happy to join Pops and talk Transformers the movie because again, it's still a cult classic. It's a favorite of mine, and I don't get tired of it. There are movies for myself that I never get tired of, and those movies are Transformers the movie, the Back to the Future trilogy, and Tombstone. Those would be the three. I include the Back to the Future movies all as one because they're a trilogy, but I never get tired of those three in general. And yes, there are other movies I could include, but if I'm gonna have just a top three, those are it. And, for good measure, if I wanted to add a fourth, I never get tired of watching Top Gun. Never have, never will. Still love watching that. So, sticking with the Transformers news, I was about to say movies, but we're not talking about the movies. We're talking about more Transformers news. And this is on the collectible front. Hasbro has announced new Transformers Legacy United figures. And as you can see, this Optimus figure looks mighty close to the original G1 figure. All right, so let me get this link posted over to the Rumble side. Again, welcome to everybody who is watching on both YouTube and Rumble. Greatly appreciate you being here on this Father's Day Sunday. So this comes from comicbook.com. It says new Transformers Legacy United figures, G1 Optimus Prime, Soundwave, and much more. Hasbro has launched pre-orders for new Transformers Legacy United figures, and this was just posted a few days ago on comicbook.com on the 13th to be exact. It's by Sean Fallon. It says Hasbro has just opened up pre-orders for a ton of new Transformers figures, most of which are in the Generations Legacy United series. Among these new releases are the G1 Universe Soundwave and Optimus Prime. But there's plenty more where that came from. Below, you'll find a full list of releases complete with pre order links. Note that US shipping is free at Entertainment Earth on orders of $79 plus. So you can find the Legacy United Voyager class G1 Universe Soundwave for $54.99. Might as well round it off to 55, with tax and shipping and handling. You're looking at $60 or more, depending on where you live and how high your tax rate is. But you can find it at Entertainment Earth and Amazon. The G1 Universe Optimus Prime will retail for $24.99, Entertainment Earth and Amazon as well. You have the Transformers Generation Selects Legacy United Deluxe Class GoBot Guardians 3-pack, which looks like to me that Guardians 3-pack is just a repaint of Warpath. That might be Gears on the right there, and also Cosmos. Because unfortunately, with Bandai owning the molds for the original GoBots characters, Hasbro can't reuse those same molds and release them under the GoBots line, unless they strike some sort of licensing deal, of course. And Decepticons Cave of Collectibles says with Skybound, they will loop around to their G1 just more detail. Yeah, I was actually able to get a hold of 3 issues of the Skybound comics thanks to Pops. And gotta say, I'm enjoying them. They're very good. So let's see. You also have a Transformers Generation Legacy Core Armada Universe Galvatron, which is a repaint of the Armada Megatron. And then you also have Slipstream coming out. That's going to be $24.99. The Galvatron repaint of Megatron for Armada is going to be $54.99. Now let's see. You're going to have Motormaster based off the Transformers animated series. That's going to be $34.99, and you can find it at Entertainment Earth and Amazon. Then you're going to find United Voyager class Super God Master Force Metal Hawk, and let's see, you're going to have Infernac Universe Geocron. Not familiar with that character, unfortunately. And then Energon Universe Galvatron. And then it talks a little bit more about Transformers 1, saying Transformers 1 is the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron. Again, like I said with the previous article, just watch the Generation 1 season 2 episode of Transformers called War Dawn. You'll get everything. So this is pretty much what we've talked about many times before on Pop Talk and Rise of the Autobots. In a new report from the outlet The Wrap, it is revealed that Transformers 1 not only received a standing ovation to cap off the film, but a healthy amount of applause throughout the movie itself. When the film arrives in theaters on September 20th, it'll be interesting to see if it'll receive further standing ovations the world over. It says in our interview with Cooley, the director was thrilled when it came to the animation of Transformers 1, stating that he is still in awe over what the creative team was able to accomplish. There's no swapping out models or waving our hands or putting a lot of smoke in front of them. They actually transformed the way they actually would. And the thing that got me excited about that is that we are on Cybertron, which is full of Transformers, which to me means that a character that is a Transformer should be able to transform as simply as going from a walk to a jog. It's just so natural for them. So I wanted to look natural for every character so that there's not a lot of extra effort put into it. So that's what he says. I don't know. If I didn't still have a G1 Optimus Prime, I might be inclined to pick this up, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I would like to have something for the 40th anniversary of Transformers. Doesn't have to be anything big or elaborate. Doesn't have to be expensive. Just, small little trinket celebrating the 40th anniversary of the franchise. A franchise that I've said on other people's channels, I've even said here, is the very foundation of my fandom. Yes, I liked He Man and the Masters of the Universe. That was my introduction into fantasy. But it was Transformers that was my introduction into science fiction. Not just fantasy and science fiction, but science fiction in general, and I will always consider it the foundation of my fandom. Because without it, I would have never gotten into shows like Star Trek and taken more of an interest into Star Wars, especially when the Droid series came out or the Ewok series came out, and taking more of an interest instead of just having a vague memory of seeing it at 5 years old when it came to Return of the Jedi. So, continuing on with the Hasbro news, let's go ahead and shift to our next story here. And I will be honest with you all, there probably won't be too many clips played today, but I'll play a few. And hello to Super Gamer and Plus Show. Good to see you here. Welcome to Pacific414. Just make sure I have everybody start. And hello to Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken, our resident troll, says Pacific, yes, a solo pop talk. Like it first started. Pop talk is back, baby. You know, even you know my standard rule for pop talk, Phil. Family comes first, and with it being Father's Day, parents could be spending time not just with his father, but with his daughters, and Cassius could be spending time with his father. So I had even asked them. I said, "Are you guys doing anything for Father's Day?" Baron wasn't sure at the time I asked him, and Cash knew that he was going to be spending time with his father. And I said, "Okay, I just want to know. This way, I know that when we're about to start the show, when I don't see you, I know why. Because again, family comes first, and I'd rather they spend time with their families instead of just coming on to Pop Talk and going, I could be spending time with my dad right now. Yes, you should. If my father were still alive, that's what I'd be doing right now. We'd probably be fishing right now because that was one of the things my father loved to do was go fishing. And hello to Pop Culture Mechanic. Good to see you too, sir. Hope everybody's doing well on this Father's Day Sunday. And a happy Father's Day to you, Pop Culture Mechanic, and to you, Phil McCracken. Give me 1 second while I take a swig of water. Much better. All right, let me make sure I have that down in the comics link into the Rumble chat as well. So there we go. So this was an article that when I saw the headline, it got my attention because I'm thinking to myself, just by reading the headline alone, why are you purchasing an IP that you never wanted and not even consulting your research and development department? So we will find out that information, and I will do my best to keep up with the chat. All right, so this is by Spencer Paculi, and says, in an offering an apparent reason for the Super Sentai adaptation's continued decline under their current ownership, a new report has revealed that Hasbro apparently never wanted anything to do with the Power Rangers brand. Goes on to say, the insight was first brought to public attention on June 11th, courtesy of Josh Perry, the host of, and forgive me if I butcher this, Tokusatsu centric YouTube news channel, Toku Topics, who fans may recognize as the individual who previously leaked Hasbro's decision to quietly shutter Power Rangers Lightning Collection toy line ahead of their recent licensing of the brand's toy production duties to Playmates. Says prompted by the reveal earlier that same day that Hasbro had ceased production on their and Netflix young adult oriented Power Rangers television series in order to give the entire project a creative makeover. Perry informed his followers, with today's news, I feel comfortable sharing that in July of last year, right after I leaked the ending of LC, I got more DMs from more sources than ever. Learned former Hasbro CEO Brian Goldner's purchase of the brand and E1 apparently was done without consulting R&D. He added the company never wanted Power Rangers. Pressed by a fan, if all you say is true, then why did they even bother with continuing the television series and Lightning collection? Perry explained that Hasbro did so because they had to try to justify the purchase and dig themselves out of the hole. It kind of sounds like Bob Iger with 20th Century Fox making that purchase, although that was something that the Disney board and Bob Iger wanted, unlike this situation where the Hasbro Research and Development Department never wanted it. As referenced by Perry in 2018, Goldner authorized the purchase of not just Power Rangers, but also a number of other toy brands held by the Super Sentai Adaptations original production house, Saban Entertainment, for a combination of cash and stock valued at $522 million. A year later, the former CEO would then pay a further $4 billion to acquire the Entertainment One E1, 500 million of which was eventually recouped by selling off a number of the company's assets to Lionsgate in the hopes of using their media production resources to further strengthen their storytelling capabilities and franchise economics in TV, film, and other mediums. In 2021, Goldner would suddenly pass away from surprise complications related to prostate cancer, thus leaving his seat at the head of Hasbro open for current CEO Chris Cox to eventually fill. Goes on to say, since then, Power Rangers has had a rough go of things at virtually every turn, having suffered a series of abysmal television outings across Beast Morphers, Dino Fury, the Once and Always special, and Cosmic Fury. A lack of support for toy collectors of even their most expensive offerings, and a refusal by Hasbro to focus on any other team but the original Mighty Morphin crew. Arguably, the only bright spot in the Rangers' recent history has been Boom Studios' ongoing comic book adaptation of Enway's one-on-one fighting game, Battle for the Grid. And even then, the former is about to come to an end, and the latter is about to have its standing in the cultural zeitgeist usurped by Digital Eclipse's uninspired Rita's Rewind. As of writing, in light of the indefinite development halt on their Ya reboot, the young adult reboot is what it is. The farming out of the franchise's toy offerings to Playmates and the comic book series upcoming ending, Hasbro does not appear to be doing much of anything with Power Rangers outside of overseeing its various licensing agreements. Well, again, the current CEO of Hasbro was recently quoted as saying, "We're no longer a toy company," especially when they start licensing out their products to other companies like Playmates to manufacture the toys. So this is definitely a case, at least in my opinion, where if you don't want the property, find somebody who does want the property and knows what they want to do with it. And I could also understand how fans would feel if you keep focusing on one group of Power Rangers when there are multiple groups of Power Rangers teams that you could be focusing on. But that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. And if you're a Power Rangers fan, I'd love to hear yours on this whole thing. And just got to do one more thing before I go to the next story. I need to turn off one of the alerts that are going off in the chat. I've been meaning to turn it off. I just haven't done it yet. So let me just get in there real quick and I'll turn one of these alerts off. That doesn't need to be running at the time. So let me just get into Stream Elements and turn that off. All right, let's go to my timers. And let's go ahead and turn that off. All right. Got that done. Okay, let's go ahead and move to our next story. And our next story here comes from Superhero Hype. The story was posted. Let's see, when did they post this? They posted this on Friday. And if anybody's a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, well, you're in for something special from the sound of it. So we have this article that was written by Brandon Asher about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 receives massive orders ahead of series launch. Goes on to say, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 has earned more than 300,000 orders ahead of the new series launch. Announced in a press release, IDW's Publishing's new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series has already received a massive response from retailers and fans, as there are over 300,000 orders ahead of the first issue's release. This gargantuan number officially makes it one of the biggest comic book launches of the year, the press release reads. Not a bad looking cover. Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 is written by Jason Aaron, illustrated by Jolie Jones, colored by Rhonda Pattinson, and lettered by Sean Lee. Thank you to all the retailers and fans out there for believing in what we're cooking up with this new series and for supporting the book in such a massive way, Aaron said. There is there there are so many, come on, Mike, read it right, you know? There are so many cool covers to choose from, and this summer there will be loads of pizza parties and big events all over the country revolving around this launch and the 40th anniversary of the Ninja Turtles. But at the end of the day, I'm mostly excited for people to hold the book in their hands and see Jolie's incredible art and read the beginning of what should be a crazy fun ride of a story. IDW's Mark Doyle added, from the comic book creatives to IDW staff and our friends at Paramount, everybody working on this series has truly gone above and beyond to make sure it's an epic and compelling tale that adds to the incredible legacy of the characters that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird created 40 years ago, remarked the publisher. The whole team deserves this success, and we couldn't be more grateful for the stunning amount of support we're getting from both fans and retailers. We know this is a TMNT story that'll be one for the ages for fans everywhere, both new and old. And let's find out what this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book series is all about. It says the solicitation for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 reads the new series premiere, new jumping on point. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have all left New York to pursue their own interests, but there are forces gathering that will put them back together, whether the bad guys like it or not. First up, Raphael. But why is everyone's favorite brawler in prison? When a surprise attack behind bars puts Raph's position in jeopardy, he needs to figure out how to get out of jail and warn his brothers that trouble is coming. Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 releases on July 24th, 2024. And that's another thing. It is the 40th anniversary of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's also the 40th anniversary of Transformers. Last week was the official 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters. It's also the 40th anniversary of Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Karate Kid, just to name a few. So there's quite a bit of celebrating going on this year, and I'm interested to read fans' feedback on this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 relaunch before I pick up a copy. But if the reaction and reviews are good, I may even pick up a copy and read it for myself. But that remains to be seen. And again, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, if you could do me a favor and share out the stream, I would greatly appreciate that. And yes, I do realize that Pop Talk is very different compared to when Cash and Baron are here. But when I'm by myself, I'm just going to give you, a quick response, quick thoughts, and try not to delve on the article for too long. And let's see. Let's see if the box office numbers have updated yet. And they have not, at least not on the site I'm on right now. I'm going to look around, see if I can find some updated box office numbers. Just give me one moment. Okay. Now, before I go to the box office numbers, because I have been able to find some information from Deadline, we're going to actually talk about this next article from Variety. So let me go ahead and copy and paste the link and post it in the chat for everybody. Here we go for the YouTube side. Here we go for the Rumble side. And let's find out what this article has to say. This article by Brent Lang, which was posted on Friday the 14th. On Variety's website, it says theater owners chief on box office downturn, Alamo Drafthouse sell, and bringing audiences back to the movies. We're still looking for a catalyst. It's been a tough time for the movie business. The 2023 actors and writers strikes brought production to a standstill, leaving studios with fewer films to release in theaters. That's bad news for cinemas, which are struggling to dig out from the financial hole left by COVID shutdowns and laboring to get audiences to visit their multiplexes at the numbers they were before the pandemic. Add to that a series of commercial disappointments, such as Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, The Fall Guy, and If, and the industry is off to a very rough start to the summer movie season, a time of year when the box office is supposed to be booming. Michael O'Leary, the president of the National Association of Theater Owners, knows that the cinema operators he represents through his trade group have been through a lot. But he also believes that things are turning around, noting that the recent success of Bad Boys Ride or Die and a number of potential hits such as Inside Out 2, Despicable Me 4, and Deadpool and Wolverine that are scheduled to open in the coming days and weeks. If the box office can build momentum, O'Leary thinks the perception will change and the financial sector will give his organization's members the support they need to improve their venues and grow their business. Says the box office is down 26% year over year. Were you expecting there to be such dramatic fall off? What went wrong? And then he answers by saying, look, the impact of the strikes is real. We are still feeling the effect of them. Not only did it stop production of movies for months, but it meant that for a lot of last year, talent couldn't promote the movies that were released. We had a lot of disruption to the system, and we've not really had what I'd call a typical year in terms of the volume of releases since the pandemic disrupted everything. This summer, we're still looking for a catalyst to get people back into the theaters, similar to what happened with Barbenheimer. But beyond that, we're probably looking at 2025 in terms of turning the corner in the way we might have hoped. We expected it to be a difficult year, and though through the first 6 months, it has been. And it goes on to say Universal Chairman Donna Langley recently said that 20% of the pre pandemic audience is gone and probably won't come back. Do you think they will return, or has the theatrical business shrunk irreversibly? And then he answers by saying, I try to avoid predictions. I will just say that after the pandemic, a lot of things aren't the same as they were before. But I do think we'll start moving back in the direction that we were in before COVID. Whether we hit those numbers in 2025 or 2026, I can't say, but we'll be moving in the right direction. So you think the downturn is sorry. So you think the downturn is mostly attributable to a lack of movies? One moment. He goes on to answer there has got to be a lot more product in the marketplace that appeals to a lot of different audiences. There's not a demand problem. Look at what happened with Barbie and or Oppenheimer. There is a supply problem. There's been an inability to have a bunch of big movies back to back so we can build excitement about going back to the cinemas because of the strikes. A lot of the things have been delayed. But if you look at 2025, there's a healthy mix of big tentpoles, returning franchises, and medium sized movies, just a broader array of things to see. The Fall Guy and Furiosa both had great reviews, but they flopped. Why didn't they work? Then he answers by saying there have been unfair compromises with those movies to past movies that opened the summer. I saw analysis that compared them to comic book movies that were released during the same period. Well, neither The Fall Guy nor Furiosa were meant to be proxies for superhero movies like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in terms of why they didn't individually reach or exceed the projections that some people set. I'm not sure. As you noted, these movies were well received. If I knew why they didn't resonate more strongly, I'd put the answer in a bottle and sell it. Well, I'm probably not going to read all these questions, but I can tell you one thing, and that one thing is the stories aren't always that good as far as current films are concerned. You know, I liked Furiosa, but it's not my favorite movie in the Mad Max franchise. That belongs to Road Warrior. Uh, Furiosa was okay at best. It's not one I have to go back and watch again. And let's also add in what they mentioned in this article. You had the actor strike last year, you had the writer strike last year, and that turned a lot of people away. You have these quote unquote professionals demanding more money, and that's going to turn anybody off, especially when what they're giving us as far as storytelling in movies and television shows aren't very good. There's no show out there that I've heard of or seen that really has the masses talking about it. It all comes down to we want good movies. We want good TV shows. We want something that takes our mind off of our day, where we can turn on the TV or turn on the computer, sign into excuse me, sign into a streaming service, and just forget about the day. And unfortunately, we're not getting that from a lot of Hollywood anymore. Let's see. Of course, yeah. I'm not going to read all these questions, but you know, you're not going to get these big temple movies like you've had before COVID. You're just not. We're not going to see the same numbers like we saw before COVID. I mean, think about it. 2019 was when Endgame came out. That was the bookend to a journey that started with Iron Man and continued on after Iron Man and led up to Endgame. And a lot of people wanted to see that ending. And one thing that Disney kept doing, and Hollywood is guilty of this, is they kept trying to milk it for all it's worth, milk Marvel for all it's worth. And now we're seeing low numbers as far as viewership is concerned for their series. Folks don't really want to go see their movies, and you can't blame them, especially if the movies aren't that good. The Marvels certainly didn't do that good at the box office. And the current situation with Star Wars, I'm not going to get deep into that, but apparently this last episode of The Acolyte isn't really making a lot of fans happy, and who could blame them? But of course, as I said earlier, I was able to find some information, and this information, excuse me, for the weekend box office comes from Deadline. And according to Deadline, it says Inside Out 2 thrills with historic 295 million global bow. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article. And let me make sure I get the link to the article over to the Rumble side. All right. So this article is by Nancy Tartaglione, and it was posted just today at 8:35 a.m. and I would imagine that was Pacific time. It says, "No anxiety here as Disney Pixar's Inside Out 2 positively crushed its opening with a 295 million worldwide debut. That includes an astonishing 140 million from only 38 international box office markets. The film, which has exceeded all expectations, continued to spread joy around the world, around the globe, I should say, throughout the session, and still has such majors as France, Italy, Spain, China, Brazil, and Japan to come. When using current exchange rates and in like for like markets, the 295 million global start is bigger than animation opening record holder the Super Mario Brothers movie. Using a similar metric, the Kelsey Man directed Inside Out sequel is the best international animation opening of all time, surpassing Frozen 2's 135.4 million. Inside Out 2 also has the biggest overseas and worldwide opening of 2024. Before we dig into details, let's also note that last weekend's champ Sony's Bad Boys Ride or Die barely slowed this session with a 38% dip. The sophomore frame was good for 30.8 million in 62 markets, making the overseas cum to 102.4 million and global across 200 million with 214.6 million through Sunday. Japan and China are due this coming weekend. Clearly, there is joy in Burbank, Culver City, and across the industry in general, just as there will be a lot of smiling faces at the Cine Europe exhibition convention, which kicks off in Barcelona tomorrow. Turning back to, to IO2, Inside Out 2. Come on, Mike. As we've noted throughout the frame, the reaction in Latin America was simply mind blowing, even within the knowledge that it is typically very strong on family at number one in all markets. Inside Out 2 grossed 61 million across the region. It scored the highest opening weekend of all time in Colombia and the second biggest in Mexico. The movie's top launch market overall: Argentina, Central America, Chile, and Uruguay. In Europe, there was no ennui as Inside Out 2 amassed 42 million, with many majors in the region not even open yet. Turkey gave the movie the biggest start ever for any film, while in Israel, this was the 15th biggest start ever. In the UK, 13.9 million for the 3-day was the biggest opening weekend of the year so far across Asia Pacific. Inside Out 2 generated 37 million, opening at number one in all markets save India, where a local title was above it. The stunning runs in Korea and Philippines continued throughout the frame. The former is the overall number two. Inside Out 2 opening market with 14.9 million and had the biggest animated opening weekend ever, only behind Frozen 2. This was the third biggest industry opening ever for any film in the Philippines. behind only Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. Then it goes on to list Mexico at 30.2 million, Korea at 14.9 million, the UK 13.9 million, Germany at 8.1 million, Philippines had 16, not 16, 6.7 million. Sorry about that error. Central America at 6.3 million, Australia at 6.1 million, Argentina 5.5 million, Colombia at 5.1, and Chile at 4.6. And then the IMAX haul was 14.5 million. Good for the format's fourth biggest animation opening weekend ever, excluding China. And then it mentions that Garfield put another 7.2 million in the kitty from 60 markets, lifting the international cume of the 139.2 million and a global of 217.8 million. Still up ahead, the ferocious Beeline are France late in July and Japan in August, and then it goes on to mention Furiosa, which has made 5.3 million international for this weekend for 97 million international and 160 million global. Yeah, and then it lists off the other movies, which If is currently at 173.6 global. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is currently at $374 million, I should say, global. Watchers is currently at 23.2 million. The Fall Guy is at 169.9 million, and Kung Fu Panda 4 is currently at 330.2 million worldwide. So it's a good start for the weekend for the box office, but the question I have, and maybe some of you also have, is will it hold? That's the thing. Will it hold to next weekend? And if I go back to Box Office Mojo, we can find out what's supposed to come out next weekend. And next weekend, as far as wide release, Ghostlight limited release, we got Janet Planet, Speedway Murders. I actually saw the trailer for that. That looks pretty good. Just by the trailers, the Bike Riders, The Exorcism, For Profit, Fancy Dance. A lot of these are limited release, though. So we'll just have to see. And let's also not forget that you recently had the Lord of the Rings trilogy come out for a short re-release. You've had Alien come out for a short re-release, and there are plenty of other movies coming out for re-release this summer, and people are flocking to those movies. You have South Park Bigger, Longer Uncut coming out, so it'll be interesting to see, and maybe, just maybe, I'm not counting on anything, but just maybe with these re-releases coming out and actually finding some success, maybe that'll give Hollywood a hint as to what we want. But then, you also gotta figure that it may not. It may not because Hollywood is so stubborn. Even successful numbers for Lord of the Rings may not tell them exactly what they think they should do because they'll look at those numbers and probably just ignore them. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess. I really am. I don't have any insiders. I'm not an insider. I'm just a fan who likes to comment on pop culture, entertainment, games, whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see how the box office looks next weekend, especially with it not being the opening weekend for movies like Inside Out or Bad Boys, Ride or Die. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last article for today, and then after that, I have a couple of announcements to make. And one of them being what's going to be coming up on the YouTube and Rumble channel for this week. So let me get into this next article. Okay, we have this article from IGN talking about Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. And let's see what it has to say. All right. I've got it shared to the YouTube and Rumble sites. And it says Lollipop Chainsaw Repop reemerges with new trailer, September release. Repop promises to be the definitive version of the cult classic hack and slash game. This was updated on the 14th, and it's by Isaiah Colbert. It says after being delayed for over a year, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, the remake of the 2012 hack and slash game, will release on September 25th for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Developed by Dragami Games, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop follows Juliet Starling, a high school cheerleader and descendant of a family of zombie hunters, as she and the disembodied head of her boyfriend fight off the zombie apocalypse with her trusty chainsaw. While Repop won't see the return of original director and writer duo Gochi Suda 51 Suda and James Gunn, Dragami Games CEO Yoshimi Suda assures fans that the remake will live up to fans' expectations. And we'll go ahead and take a look at this right now. Put the sound up. Okay, there is no sound. All right, well, then I will go somewhere else to take a look at the trailer. And we will watch it here. It says Repop is a definitive version of the game, which leaves the story unchanged, with the focus on quality of life improvements and additional gameplay content. Goes on to say key among Repop's updates from the original are shortened load times. Well, I would hope so, and especially with the game coming out in 2024, 12 years after the release of the original. You know, the hardware's improved in that time. And heightened resolution and frame rates. More specifically, the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC versions of Repop will support 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. While the Switch will support full HD resolution and 30 frames per second. Other quality of life updates include an auto QuickTime event feature, improved camera responses, and a streamer mode for music. So, more games are implementing a streamer mode for music. For any copyrighted music, it'll play an alternative copyright free track if you happen to be streaming this game. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop was first announced back in 2022 before being delayed from summer 2023 to summer 2024. In a follow up tweet to the game's release date and trailer, Yosuda revealed that players will have over 30 outfits to fashion Juliet and Repop, while all the original game's costumes will be available in Repop. Juliet's copyrighted ensembles like her Dead Man Wonderland and High School of the Dead anime costumes won't be returning for the ride. In our original review of Lollipop Chainsaw, we gave the game a 5 out of 10, saying Lollipop Chainsaw doesn't even attempt to differentiate itself from the genre, and most of what it does try new in the realm of its characters and writing ultimately ends up taken away from the incredible on paper action game. Despite our reservations about Lollipop Chainsaw, the game has garnered cult classic status among players with an affinity for a hack and slash game. Hopefully, Repop will resonate with players the same way the original game did. Now, I have actually done one stream of the original game here. I haven't completed it because the sole purpose was just to show how great the game was. And I, I thoroughly enjoyed it the first time I played through it. I played through the game multiple times and had fun each time because one thing about the game, it doesn't take itself seriously. It knows it's a parody of, Night of the Living Dead and, you know, any zombie horror game that was out at the time. And that's what I like about it. It's just a fun game to play. It knows what it is. It knows exactly what it is. And it doesn't try to be anything else except what it is. So give me a moment and I will find the actual trailer for Repop and we'll take a look at it. All right, so let's see if they've got it. I think they might. All right. No. I'm looking for the latest trailer. All right. Where is it? Come on. I'm seeing the trailer for the original game, but I'm looking for the remakes. All right, got one here. Let me just grab it, and I will then share it on screen. And let me just check one more thing before I do. All right, so let's go ahead and share the screen. All right. Here we go. And here's the trailer for Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. Oh, wait a minute. It says Lollipop Chainsaw Repop allows players to select original mode, which is based on the original release, or Repop mode, which has less violence, and uses pop art damage effects. This trailer uses in-game footage from repop mode. Oh, come on. Are you telling me that nobody can handle animated gore and animated violence anymore? All right. Let's turn that down just a little bit. I mean, well, let's face it, it's gonna look the same as the original, but the graphics are gonna be clear. Like they said, the resolution is gonna be clear. And honestly, it doesn't look like they upgraded the in-game models from the original. It does look like a straight up remaster. But again, this game doesn't take itself seriously. It's just a fun game that's a satirical take on all the zombie horror films and shows that you've seen. No, I'll admit, because I do plan on picking it up. I don't want it to load up the PS3 version each and every time, especially with how old my PS3 is. But I'll definitely pick this game up, and I'll probably play the original version and not the repop version that's available in this repop release. So yeah, I mean, well, let's face it, you don't expect to see a big graphical jump, especially with a game like this. Other games, yes, but you also don't expect to see anything like you see with one of the main characters in Silent Hill 2 either, as far as the remaster is concerned. But that's pretty much straightforward for the trailer. And I can't speak for everybody, but if you're going to be playing it, well, then have fun. That's what I'm going to do when I play it. Always try to have fun when I'm playing games. And now, before I wrap up this edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk, I do want to let everybody know that I have added a new member tier to the YouTube channel for memberships, and it's called the Pack of 414. And I will give you the details of what it involves. And what it involves is, with the Pack of 414 tier here on the channel, is you get early access to any new videos I upload after today. So instead of where I would have videos that I would upload and everybody could see it, well, you guys get the first crack at it. And this could be 7 days in advance of it being released fully to non members. So 7 days in advance, you get any and all video updates, as far as what the channel's going to be having, even out of the theater reviews. Those will now first be available to members before they're available to the public. And again, that'll be 7 days in advance. And then another perk you get with the pack of 414 tier is you also get to join the member stream once every month. Now, I have added a new perk to the stealth is optional tier. And before I even get onto that, for the pack of 414, that's essentially $2 a month for that new tier of membership here on Pacific414. While for the stealth is optional, yes, you still get the monthly membership live stream that we've had since August as part of the plan, the $4.99 plan. The price isn't going up. I'm not changing the price, but you also get a new added perk to that, to where once a month on a Sunday here on Pacific414 Pop Talk, you get to join Baron, Cash, and myself here on the Sunday edition of Pop Talk as we discuss the articles that have been selected for that broadcast. And you get to chime in after we've read the article and give your thoughts on what the article was about or what the article was discussing, or if there's a TV series that we're discussing on that particular edition of Pop Talk, you get to chime in on that as well. Now, I do want to say that I know open panels won't be happening as frequently as they used to on the channel, but when they do occur, everybody, members, non members, are welcome to join the open panels when they do occur. This is just an added benefit for those who could potentially become members. At the pack of 414, again, you get to see the videos that I upload 7 days before the public does, and you also get to join the member stream. And for those of you who are part of Stealth is Optional or would like to be part of Stealth is Optional, not only do you get the member streams once a month, but also in that same month on a Sunday, you get to join Baron, Cash, and I here on Pacific414 Pop Talk. The start time will usually be at 1 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday, unless otherwise noted. If I have something going on, Baron has something going on, Cash has something going on, and we need to schedule it for a later time, we'll do that. But again, the pack of 414 is now a new membership tier that is live. So if you want to join at that level, it's $2 a month. And you can, again, be a part of the member stream that occurs every month, which is usually in the middle of the month. And you also get early access to videos. Meanwhile, if you're part of Stealth is optional, not only do you get the access to the early video premieres 7 days in advance, but you also get to join the member stream, and you also get to join Pop Talk once a month, and that's going to be on one Sunday per month. And speaking of a member, we have the Padawannabe, who says, "One of us, one of us, one of us." So that is some changes to the membership tiers. And it's something I've been thinking about. I had told the members a few months back that I was thinking about adding a new tier level to the channel, but I really had to think about what I wanted to offer to make it worth it for people. And I also don't want to have overpriced memberships. I want to make sure that I have memberships that are reasonably priced, where if someone does want to join the channel, they can. And Pop Culture Mechanics says, you get all this and more if the price is right. Back to you, Bob. Or Drew in this case now. But yeah, if you're interested in becoming a member, just know that any and all membership fees, and same goes for super chats, super stickers, all that goes right back into the channel. Everything that I earn will go right back into the channel. So if, for example, I need new editing software, guess what I'll use that super chat for, or the money I get from the memberships. I will use it for that editing software. Just like last month, I needed a new capture card because the one I had was not working as well as it used to. So what did I do? I ended up using the money that I've received from super chats and memberships and putting it toward a new capture card. Again, like I've said, everything I earn, I'm putting right back into the channel. And the reason being is that's where it should go. If you guys and gals out there, you know, take your hard earned money to become a member and use that same hard earned money to send a super chat, why shouldn't I put it back into the channel? Because I should. I should. If you guys are giving the money, then it goes right back into the channel. If there's a game you want me to stream or a game I'm looking forward to playing, guess what? I'll use that money that I earn from the memberships and super chats and get the game. That's where all the proceeds will be going back into the channel. I promise you that. You have my word. But I also want to thank each and every one of you for your support of the Pacific414 YouTube channel, the Twitch channel, the Rumble channel, the Kick channel, even though I haven't streamed over on Kick in a while. Thank you all so much for your support, whether it's Pacific414 Pop Talk on Sundays and Wednesdays, or the game streams on Tuesdays, Thursdays. I really do appreciate everybody's support and taking the time out of your day to stop by the channel, say hello, listen to the banter between Baron Cash and myself, or watch me play a game and in some cases struggle in a game trying to find the right way to go in a game. I really do appreciate that because one thing I have learned doing content creation is nobody's obligated to stop by your channel, support your channel just because you're doing a live stream, especially when you have other people doing live streams at the same time as you. So anytime somebody comes by, I try to make sure I say hello. And if I can't say it verbally, because, especially here on Pop Talk, Cash, Baron, and I, we're all talking at one time, I will make sure to say something to you in the chat, say hello to you in the chat, welcome you in the chat. And it's always nice to see familiar faces, but it's also nice to see new faces. Everybody is welcome here. I don't care who you are, you're all welcomed here. And with that being said, I do want to say to all of you who are fathers, happy Father's Day. I hope you all have a great day with your kids and a great day with your family. I think about my father all the time since he passed away 20 years ago. And think about the things that he enjoyed doing. And one of the things he loved doing when he was off work and he had the time to do it was working on boats. You know, taking an old beat up boat and putting time, money, and effort to bring that boat back up to code. And not only working on that boat to bring it back up to code, but also if it had an engine with it, seeing if he can get that engine up and running again, back in pristine condition. Because that is one of the things he was doing before he passed away 20 years ago, is he had sold a boat that he had because he wasn't using it like he used to. And one of the things he was making sure that he had done was to make sure that the engine was running at pristine condition. So he did that and got it done. And a few days later, he unfortunately passed away. But he was proud of himself for always being able to troubleshoot whenever there was some sort of engine trouble with either a boat engine, car, truck, whatever. Because he learned from real good people. And he used to work at this one boat shop where he learned a lot about working on boats, not just engines, but working in and around boats. And he really enjoyed it, even when he was off of his day job. I would find him some mornings where he'd be tinkering with his boat because there was something that wasn't working right, and he just wanted to have a well maintained boat because of everything he learned. Just like vehicles, his vehicle, my mom's vehicle. He always said one of the things that you need to make sure that you do when you have a car of your own is to make sure it's well maintained. This way you can get from point A to point B. And if you can't do it yourself, try to someone who has a good reputation and have them work on the car for you, because the last thing you want is to have your car end up on the side of the road because it wasn't well maintained. And one of the other things he enjoyed doing was going up to the mountains and going out to the ocean and just fishing. Even if he didn't catch anything that day, he still enjoyed fishing because it was a time for him to get out there and decompress from a week of work. And let's see. Padawannabe says, and happy Father's Day to the Papa of Pop Talk at Pacific414. Thanks for the years. Well, I enjoy doing content creation. I really do. And I give you me each and every time I'm on stream. I don't want to put a face on there. I don't want to put a facade on there. I want to give you guys me. That's why I've always wanted this and do make this real and genuine. So if I have, a comment and someone doesn't like my comment, maybe they think I'm out of line. Well, consider where I'm coming from, especially when it comes to modern entertainment. I'm sorry, a lot of modern entertainment isn't very good. And even my dad, when he saw Stinger, he would just let it be known he didn't like the movie. And that's where I get that from. You know, I have expectations for myself. I expectations for the channel, and it's up to me to achieve those expectations and give you all the best quality content I can so that you want to come back. And that's one thing I have strived to do more and more each day, is to make sure that whether I'm monetized or not, to still give you all the best content I can. And that's what I strive to do. And one thing I learned from my father is, work hard, but also when you can't, reward yourself. And I consider this rewarding, meeting each and every one of you, whether you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, or Kick. Meeting each and every one of you is a delight. Seeing you guys coming in the chat, or even if, I'm watching another channel's live stream and we see each other just, saying hey and, you know, talking back and forth, just having a good time. Because that's what this is about. And I know if my dad were here, I think he would have delved into YouTube a little bit, especially when it comes to fixing car engines and also boat engines, getting your lure ready for fishing, what you need to have to be prepared if you're going to be, you know, on a hiking trail and, talk about the days of being on the CHP, several other things I know he would want to talk about. But again, I I love you all just like I love my father. I miss him every day, but I know he's always with me. And I appreciate you all being with me on this crazy journey we call YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and Kick. And it's been a real treat. And I hope we have many more years of this. And real quick, before I leave you all, last Sunday, Clobbering Times, Mike Alonso had a heart attack, and unfortunately, on Wednesday, he passed away due to head trauma and the heart attack at the age of 59. And even though the goal has been reached, I am still going to ask if you can to please donate to Klobby's fundraiser. His daughter Ashley set this up last Monday, and his kids could still use your help because hospital bills, especially, are very expensive, and funeral costs are also very expensive. So if you can help donate to the GoFundMe, please do. And to all fathers out there, thank you for what you do, especially for your families. May you all have a wonderful Father's Day and just, live your life to the fullest. That's what we all should do. Live our life to the fullest. And of course, before I leave, I do want to let you all know that Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be back on the YouTube and Rumble channels to play Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered. Maybe we can finish off the game either Tuesday or Thursday. We'll see. And then on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we will be back with more Pacific414 Pop Talk. And Baron and Cash will be here with me as we welcome Arwen Avalon and Darth Arlena as our special guests for the evening. So that'll be coming up on the channel. As far as what Cash has planned, I know he has a few videos in the pipeline that he wants to get out as soon as they are, good to go. And I know that we will probably have a Friday multiplayer stream starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. I don't know if it's going to be Dark Tide. I don't know if it's going to be Aliens Fire Team Elite. I really don't know what game it's going to be honest with you, but I'm sure we'll figure out something and we'll have a multiplayer stream for you all. And also with Cash and Baron, I know they have something that they are working on together that will be premiering at some point, and that'll be on Cash's channel. But as far as what that may be, I know they're still trying to, you know, iron out a few details as far as what they want to do, but I know they have something good coming down the pipeline. And I don't know if they're all going to be live streams or if they're going to be video uploads, but this thing that Baron and Cash have cooking up, I think it's going to be good. And I've told them, when you do this, make sure you do one thing: kick ass each and every time. And that's what we all should strive to do: kick ass each and every time, each and every day of our lives, because we don't know how long we have. And again, I want to thank Decepticons Cave of Collectibles for stopping by. Really appreciate it. I want to welcome Super Gamer and Plus Show to the channel. It's always nice to see Alan Copeland. I hope you're able to get your AC fixed, because I know this time of year it stinks not having your AC. And Phil McCracken, thank you very much. Always stopping by. Yeah, we give each other a hard time, but you know, it's just laughs and a lot of fun. So thank you, Phil, and always good to see you, Pop Culture Mechanic. Good to see you, brother. Hope that move goes well for you too. So until then, everybody, this has been Mike for Pacific414 Pop Talk, saying thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a great afternoon. Don't forget to donate to Klobby's GoFundMe if you can. And remember, don't ever give up on me in a game, because just when you do, you might miss something. Take care, all.
Autobots, transform and roll out!